Okay, so for tonight, I'm probably going to be talking about probably some of my grievances with uh what I would refer to as Hollywood autism. Um, Hollywood's portrayal of autism, uh, and just kind of my own personal kind of autism, like my quirks, that kind of stuff. Um, just first topic is going to be Hollywood autism, and for those who have dealt with autism or live with autism, you're gonna absolutely understand what I mean by that. And for those of you that don't, I'm talking about Hollywood's kind of almost glorified portrayal of autism that leads to people uh, whenever they meet me, they're kind of like, "Oh, you're autistic," and I have to end up clarifying with them um, what exactly that's supposed to mean and like what autism actually entails, because as much as I love watching Big Bang Theory, I've watched Big Bang Theory, I've watched Atypical, I've seen Rain Man. As much as I love watching those shows, I absolutely love Sheldon. The betrayals that are in those are, they just end up glorifying autism. And I mean, I absolutely would not change myself no matter what. But when people meet me and it turns out that I'm not some prodigy or something like Hollywood acts like you're supposed to whenever you have autism, it can be very frustrating because then they're kind of like trying to prod you and see what exactly you're a prodigy for. And it's like, well, what if I'm not a prodigy or something? I mean, it for me personally, like, I'm kind of above average in a lot of stuff, but I'm a jack of all trades. I'm never gonna be like super proficient in anything. I mean, that's just not who I am, and that's how a lot of autistic people are. There's there's quite a few out there though that are very very exceptional in one area or another. I mean, there's Temple Grandin with animal sciences and everything. I mean, she is absolutely incredible with that. There's some really, really well known autistic mechanics. I mean, I can't remember his name, but I read a book from one, and he's great at that. But I mean, that's not how it is for a ton of autistic people, and but Hollywood keeps perpetuating that, and it can be very hurtful almost to people that are actually autistic, because people, whenever they find out that they're autistic, almost expect something from them, and when that doesn't happen, then they're like, "Oh, you're just lame and everything," and that can be very frustrating to go through because it's like, okay, so I'm not some amazing genius prodigy. Oh, what? So that means I'm less of a human being because now I'm autistic. I don't have prodigy-like skills. Probably the show I've seen get it the closest is probably Atypical. If you want a show that shows a accurate depiction of autism, I'd probably go with Atypical. Don't mind me just getting stuck on the map. There we go. But lots of shows like Big Bang and Rain Man, those are definitely going to be like probably the most common. That's why I'm kind of calling them out a little bit more. Nothing against them. But they're kind of the examples that you think of when you kind of cover topics like this. Come on. Fudgesicle. But yeah, it can be very frustrating. It can be very detrimental to be almost dismissed because you don't have these extraordinary skills like people think you will when you're autistic. And I would just very much like Hollywood stop that. Because I mean it's nearly as harmful as the whole thinking autistic people are stupid. It's two sides of the same coin. It's one extreme for another. I mean, it's nice to acknowledge that there have been some really great, intelligent, autistic people out there, like Alan Turing and stuff, and Temple Grandin. But for the majority of us, we need to be accepted as more than subpar humans, or I mean, I don't know how to explain it. This mindset that we don't deserve life, like I've seen some people express. But then there's also we don't need to be a prodigy to be accepted into society either. I mean, because there's going to be a lot of us that aren't. There's a decent chunk that aren't going to be verbal. They're going to be non-verbal, or they're going to be too low functioning to truly go out into the real world and function and maybe hold a full-time job. I.e., there's people like me that are able to hold down a full-time job as an autistic person, but there's quite a few who, I mean, I've dealt with that. I mean, there's a possibility for them to have a part-time job, have that means to feel satisfied with yourself. That's why I see a lot of people with disabilities strive for, is that sense of normal. And I think part-time jobs, especially with businesses that have an intention to work with autistic individuals, are great for those people. Gives them that opportunity. But there's a lot of people who are autistic and maybe can't go into a specialized field because it'd be too stressful for them, so they have to go into a mainstream job. Um, I believe that needs to be accepted as well, because they need to have that opportunity, not be hated on because they're not able to go into a highly specialized career and be the leading person in their field. It can end up destroying a person, because then they almost get this idea from society that they're not worth the space and the breath and the air and everything. So then they end up living off of disability and stuff. And I don't want that for them, because there's people that are there's lots of people on the spectrum that can contribute to society a lot more than there currently is, because there's, I can't remember the exact percentage, but 6 or 9% of autistic adults have a full-time job. I mean, for how many autistic individuals there are in the world, I mean, at least in the U.S., that percentage is pretty damn low. And I definitely think that's partly due to Hollywood, partly due to other reasons. It's a whole bunch of factors of people misunderstanding just how vast and varied the autistic spectrum is. There's just, I mean, if I love Temple Grandin's quote of if you've met one person on a spectrum, you've met one person on a spectrum, because it's very accurate as to what the spectrum is like. It is so varied that probably you'll probably never encounter the same variation of capabilities or skill sets or weaknesses from one person to another. I mean, just between me and my siblings and I, none of us are the same. I mean, it is just, it's like the perfect example of how widely it can vary, even within the same family. I mean, oh, that's a, that's a cheerful note to add into this thing. Probably this wasn't the best game to play. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got myself into some trouble. Give me a second. yeah, just I mean, I'll keep pointing it out, but there's definitely a lot of things that need to be fixed. Before, I mean, I would even. God, it's just the system's so screwed up right now. Um, now, kind of onto my own experiences and quirks and stuff. I'm definitely in the above average group, but as I said, I'm not a prodigy or anything. I mean, I can do a lot of things well and proficient, but I, I don't really exceed in anything. I mean, I've got some really good people skills, but I mean, that's about it. I mean, that's kind of why I'm picking the career I want, because I mean, that's kind of my specialty is. But I mean, definitely some of my quirks are I can't look people in the eyes. I mean, God, I'm 24 and still struggle with that aspect. I mean, I've gotten much better about it. I can do it at a job, but God, like after a certain point, it does kind of get stressful dealing with it. Um, Probably something I've grown out of, but I used to have to deal with was when my anxiety would peak. This was kind of back in junior high. I had a really bad habit of chewing on my knuckles. I got to the point where it'd be like absolutely raw and torn up. So they actually kind of made an exception for me at the school because technically there was a no gum policy, but for me to not like chew on my knuckles, I had to be chewing on gum or something like that. I mean, I occasionally resort to it when I'm highly stressed out. Another one of my quirks I have that probably is never going away. I like to have my blanket no matter what. It can be in the middle of summer, but I need my blanket. It's definitely a security thing. It's not comfortable for me lying without a blanket. I mean, God, like even at reenactments, I gotta cover up with a blanket. I mean, that's like wool uniforms and stuff, but I don't know. Just I can't sleep otherwise. That's one of the major things that a lot of people don't understand. I mean, anybody that's on the spectrum will obviously understand what I mean by that. That, like, feeling of you need it, but you don't understand why you need it. was trying to think of some other stuff. When I was younger, I did understand with the, I did have trouble understanding sarcasm. I had that problem. Something that I've seen a lot of, like Hollywood, even shows that get the depiction of autism somewhat correct. The thing I've seen them always miss is the fact that you have problems, no matter the age, with engaging people within your actual age group. Like I do great with people older than me by a significant margin, or people younger than me by a significant margin. Like definitely would like to work with kids and stuff that have disabilities instead of like maybe teenagers or even adults. Also, kind of because the earlier you intervene, the earlier it'll be for them later on, in my opinion. I mean, that was the wrong kind of drone that I wanted. Let me go heal these enemies right quick. But yeah, like, I mean, I never really had an easy time talking to people the same age group as me, and it's been that way throughout my life. I mean, I don't know what it is, to be honest. I'm not even gonna attempt to explain it. There's gonna be lots of things where I mean, you could have a professional in the physiology and anatomy and psychology and everything, and they're not gonna be able to tell you why it is what it is. I mean, that's why it's so hard to even diagnose autism nowadays. I mean, mostly because you got the parents that want that their kid is off slightly and want to slap an autism diagnosis on them, but then also it's just you can't tell if a person's really lying about being on the spectrum, because even when they're on the spectrum, it's very hard for us to explain our behavior to make sense of it. I mean, even when you're an adult, you're not going to be able to go like, oh yeah, this is why I do this. Kind of my other quirk is, I mean, if you've listened to enough of my videos, you'll probably be able to tell I'm very monotone. I have a tendency to ramble. If you get me started on a tangent about something I really enjoy or am passionate about, I will go on a huge ass tangent that good luck getting me off of it. I will go on that for hours. One of my other quirks is it's very hard for me to go up to like a counter at a restaurant or a customer service counter Um, it's very nerve-wracking. Like, even to ask for something as simple as maybe napkins or ketchup or something like that, it's very intimidating, and I don't know. Like, I mean, I've done it so many times, but still, it's the next time it feels the same all over again. Just this almost fear. Um, Also goes for making calls and stuff. That can be very nerve wracking as well. Um, and it's just something I've never grown out of. I mean, there's a good chance I'll never will. I mean, I could be 60 years old and still be petrified to go up and ask for extra ketchup at the counter at McDonald's. And it's just, I mean, that's what autism is. It's um um yeah, there's also kind of the, oh, no filter. No filter whatsoever. That's definitely an issue. I feel like a lot of people, once they deal with me long enough, they understand that, I mean, I never mean badly. It's just sometimes, a lot of times, I'm still working stuff out in my own head. So a lot of times I spurt out my half-baked ideas, and I reflect on it later and go like, ooh, shit, should have never said that. That's definitely one of the things. God, I'm surprised it hasn't ever gotten me in serious trouble at work. I mean, I've definitely seen later on that it's made some of my coworkers kind of look at me oddly, but oh, it's floating. What the hell? Okay, that's new. Oh, there it goes. Now it sinks. Um. God, this game is gorgeous. I mean, everybody hates on it, but I mean, God, the environments. Ooh, cannot wait for Breakpoint. I mean, if they add the certain improvements like they're talking about, and don't downgrade it like they sometimes do, I'm gonna love that game. Um, but God, I mean, just kind of the thing I want people to take away from most, maybe from this video, is that if someone says they're autistic or on the autism spectrum, and they maybe don't necessarily fit the profile, maybe hold judgment. I mean, there's that possibility that maybe they it's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some people I've encountered that, I mean, I really kind of highly doubted it. Like, you could kind of tell they were just, I mean, that autism may have not been their issue, may have been something else. But yeah, I mean, sorry for the long pause. Just kind of, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe share this with your friends if what you heard here kind of maybe shine a new light on the spectrum for you. And yeah, just like and share. I mean, yada yada yada, the usual rant of I don't know. I don't think I'm ever gonna make a career out of this, but oh well. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good June, and I'll see ya whenever I see ya.